this video, we will see how to create an API to submit votes for our posts. We will also create the functionality to either upvote or downvote a particular post. So a small note before we dive into the code, I'm doing this video a bit differently than the previous videos. I'm going to show you the code and explain the code instead of typing the code and creating it as part of the video. And in this way, I think I can explain each and every line, and also mainly I can put out the tutorials more quickly. So do let me know in the comment section which format you prefer, and yeah. And having said that, so let's open IntelliJ, and so let's open our controller class, which is named as vote controller. And here we have the annotations for our class, the REST controller, REST mapping, and our logs constructor. And the REST mapping is for the value /API/votes. And inside this class, we have only one method, which is a post mapping. So it's just, its main purpose is to submit a vote for a particular post. And we are receiving a vote DTO object as a request body as input from the client. And if I drill down, we have two fields in this class. One, it is a vote type and the post ID. So vote type is an enum which contains values for either an upvote or a downvote. And we also have a direction field inside this enum. So for the upvote, we have the direction as 1, and for the downvote, we have direction as -1. And if you go back to the vote DTO, the other field is an identification of the post. So it would be just post ID. Back inside the controller, I injected the vote service class, and inside the vote method of the controller, I called the vote method of the vote service class. So let's go ahead into the vote service, and this method is first retrieving the post, which needs to be updated with the vote. So as this find by method returns an optional, we are using the or else throw method here to throw a post not found exception in case if we don't find any post. And if we do find, then we are storing this return type inside the variable. So the next query is an interesting one. We are finding the recent vote, which is submitted by the user for this post. So as we are using Spring Data here, Spring Data JPA, I created the method find top by post and user, order by vote ID descending. So what does it query do? So here we are first finding the user by post and the user information, order those results by vote ID in descending order, and get the top one. So what that would be? So we are just getting the recent vote by the user for a particular post. So that would be the latest vote by the user. So once we retrieve this information, we want to do some validations here. So we want to make sure that the user is able to either upvote or downvote only once consecutively. That means if I upvoted a post, I should not be able to upvote the post again, because I'm the same user and I cannot do the same actions consecutively. The only valid action at the time is to downvote. So here we are doing this validation, and after that we are making sure that the vote is present, and if the vote existing is the existing vote type is equal to the requested vote type, then we throw an exception with the message, because we cannot vote in the same direction twice in the row. So now after this validation, we do either increment or subtract the vote count of the post by 1 based on the vote type. And finally, we have to map this vote DTO to vote. So, and then we save this inside the database. The same also apply for the post. So here in this method, we are manually mapping all the fields. So because I don't like to create the mapper when we are creating a small mapping logic, and it's just one method. So it's better off putting this method inside the service itself. So, and what we are doing inside this method is to use the builder method inside the vote DTO. So we have this builder annotation, which will be generating the builder method at compile time. And so this builder method is used to construct the object of vote DTO. So, and as this builder method's name suggests, it builds the objects by making the code more readable and easy to understand. So there's a design pattern behind this method called as a builder pattern. And you can read more about builder patterns, and if you want to learn more design patterns in general, I highly recommend going through the book Head First Design Patterns. This is a book which introduces you to the design pattern, and it's a very good book. You can find a link in the description. Okay, let's move on and go back to the controller. So after saving the vote information to database, we just return a success response back to the client with status as okay. Now we have to include the vote and comments information when user is retrieving the post. So I have added some additional fields inside the post response class. I added this comment just for you to understand. I will remove it now. So these new fields are number of votes for a post, the number of comments, and the last field is duration. So this field shows us the relative time duration of the post creation time. So we are calculating this using a library called as time_ago. So let me open the GitHub page of this library. It's just a Kotlin library. So we can also use it in our Java project. Here in the example, you can see that the time is displaying as 4 days ago, a minute ago, and also just now. So this is how you see the timestamp in sites like Reddit and also Stack Overflow. So let's go back to our project. I can quickly show you the dependency information of this time_ago library inside the POM XML file. And here we have this dependency followed by the Kotlin libraries, the Kotlin standard libraries, because this is a Kotlin based library, and we need to add also these dependencies to our project. The first one is the Kotlin standard library for JDK8 and the Kotlin test JUnit dependency. And for this dependency, Kotlin standard library JDK8 to work with our project, we need to also add a Maven plugin with the called as Kotlin Maven plugin. So this is including in the compile phase. So whenever it finds some Kotlin specific code, it makes sure to generate the Java code for it. And we are filling this value inside our post mapper. And if we go to the post mapper, if you notice that I've changed this from an interface to an abstract class here, because we have added 4 new fields inside our DTO, and we need some dependencies to fill these details in the mapper. That means for comment count, we need access to the comment repository, and for vote count, we need to access the vote repository, and also the auth service is used to calculate the vote count. So let us see what we have changed here. So after changing it to the abstract class, I auto-write these dependencies as I said before, and our first method is map, which maps the post request to the post object. And here we have set the vote count to 0, because whenever we are saving a post, the default vote count should be 0, right? There is no need to put any value here. So that's why I use the constant field inside the mapping annotation to send the value as 0. If I click on the green button, you can see the implementation here of this particular abstract class. So if you scroll down, there is a line of code called post.voteCount as 0. So the next method here is the map to DTO method. Here we are mapping from post to post response, and the newly added fields here are the comment count and the duration fields. So the first comment count is actually we are getting this return type from a method. So here we have this expression field which is calling the comment count method using taking the post as the input, and this comment count method is just returning the comments, size of the comments which belong to a particular post. So it's just returning an integer. And the next one is the duration. So this is where we are using the time_ago library. Inside the get duration method, we are using the using method of the time_ago library. So this takes in a long variable as input, and to get that long variable, we are using this get created date function which returns an instant. And on this instant, we are calling a method called as toEpochMilli. So this converts the instant to a long type, and it basically calculates number of milliseconds starting from 1st January of 1970 until now, so until the created date. So if you go inside the documentation, you can see it returns the number of milliseconds since the epoch of 1st January 1970. So the good thing here is we updated our mappings, and we didn't even touch the post service class, because of these changes, because we just updated our post mapper class methods inside this class, and by creating this mapper we are able to decouple the mapping logic with the actual business logic which is handled inside the service. So that's always a good thing, to decouple our components, right? So we have made all our changes. We can start our application, and inside the Postman client, as usual, make sure to log in and get the authentication token back from the server, and use that authentication token inside the bearer token section, and let's submit a vote to the server now. I created this body, so I have provided the vote type as downvote and provided a post ID. Now let's test and send this request and see what it happens. And as you can see, the server responded with status, that means with status 200, that means okay. Now let's see if the vote count is also included in the post response. So now I'm going to call the endpoint to get all posts. So here you can see that for the post ID, which I used before, the vote count is -1 as we have downvoted this post. So that means our implementation is working as expected. And let's also test another case. So if we try to downvote the post again, that means one more time, you can see we have received the message, you have already downvoted this post. Okay, and the last thing I forgot to mention is you can now see the duration field inside the response. This is changing dynamically now. As I've created this post long time back, you are seeing these dates here like 2 months ago and 6 days ago. And if you just create a post and try to call the get all posts endpoint, you can see the duration as just now. And that is the end of this video. So we have successfully implemented all the needed APIs for the front-end application. Now the last part in our backend section is to implement the logout solution in our backend. This was not in plan for this tutorial, but due to multiple requests in the builder blog with Spring Boot and Angular series, I'm going to implement this logout functionality in this series. So if you're wondering how to do the logout in our backend application, stay tuned for the next video, and don't forget to mention whether you like this format of videos or not, where I just explain the code instead of typing it along with you. So please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I will see you in the next tutorial. Until then, happy coding techies.